Clark the Shark, written by Bruce Hale and illustrated by Guy Francis. And as you can see, there's a barcode, so you know what that means. If you like this story, ask and you shall receive. It is available for checkout at the time of this recording. School bus. In all the wide blue seas, in all the wide blue world, the top school for fish was Theodore Roosterfish Elementary. And of all the fish at Theodore Roosterfish, the biggest and the strongest was Clark the Shark. Can you imagine if your school was inside of an old boat that was on the bottom of the ocean? School bus. Clark loved school, and he loved his teacher, Mrs. Inky Dink. He loved to play upsy downsy and spin-a-majig with his friends. Clark loved his life. Looks very happy, but look at his friends' faces. School is awesome, shouted Clark the Shark. Less shouting, more reading, said Mrs. Inky Dink. Lunchtime is sweet, yelled Clark the Shark. Munch your own lunch, said his best friend Joey Mackerel. Recess rocks, bellowed Clark the Shark. You're playing rough, Clark, cried the other kids. Yes, Clark loved his little life with all of his sharky heart, but he loved everything way too much. He was too loud. He was too wild. He was just too much shark for the other fish to handle. After a while, no one would play with Clark. No one ate lunch with him. No one sat with him at circle time. Even his best friend Joey Mackerel said, "Cool your jets, Clark. You're making me crazy." Ugh. Oh, poor Clark. Ooh, everybody's watching. One day, Clark asked Mrs. Inky Dink, "What's wrong with everyone?" Mrs. Inky Dink patted his fin. "Clark, sometimes you play too hard. You munch too hard. And gosh, you even help too hard." "But life is so exciting," said Clark. "There's a time and a place for everything," said Mrs. Inky Dink. "And sometimes the rule is stay cool." Stay cool? At recess, Clark tried to stay cool, but he pushed the swing with too much zing. "Sorry," said Clark. "I forgot." "Yikes," cried Joey Mackerel. At lunch, Clark tried to stay cool, but everything smelled so good that he munched a bunch of lunches. "Sorry," said Clark. "I forgot." "We're starving," said his friends. In class, Clark tried to stay cool, but a good book of him got him all shook up. "Now, Clark," said Mrs. Inky Dink, "this isn't the time or the place. Tell me what's the rule." "Stay cool," said Clark. "Hey, that rhymes." Then Clark got a big idea in his sharky head. "Maybe if I make a rhyme, I'll remember every time," he thought. In class, when lessons got exciting, Clark wanted to bounce up out of his seat. Instead, he told himself, "When teacher's talking, don't go walking." And what do you know, it worked. "Attaboy, Clark," said Mrs. Inky Dink. Clark smiled. At lunch, everything smelled so yummy. When Clark wanted to eat and eat and eat and never stop, he told himself, "Only munch your own lunch." And it worked again. "Way to go, Clark," said his friends. And Clark grinned. At playtime, Clark told himself, "Easy does it, that's the way. Then my friends will let me play." And playtime was fun. Once more, Clark loved his life. Look at that big toothy grin. But then a shadow fell across the playground. A ginormous shadow with tentacles galore. "It's a new kid and he looks scary," said Joey Mackerel. "Swim for your lives!" The squid squashed the slide and it snapped off the swings. "Look at him." "Wait," said Clark. "He just wants to play. Let's find a way." And he swam at the new kid with all his might. Clark played harder than he had ever before. Upsy downsy and spin-a-majig. Why, he even made up a new game. Tail Wumpa Lumpus. "Wow, that was fun," said the new kid breathlessly, and he settled down. "If you want to come to school, you've got to play it cool." "That's right, Clark," said Mrs. Inky Dink. "And thanks for taking care of our new classmate." "Hooray for Clark the Shark!" everyone cheered. That night, Clark's mother asked, "What did you learn at school, dear?" "There's a time and a place for everything," Clark said. "Sometimes you stay cool." School bus. But sometimes a shark's gotta do what a shark's gotta do.